Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ask a Property Manager. My name is Eric Worrell, and I work with rentprep.com, a tenant screening service, and I am joined by our co-host here, Andrew Schultz. How you doing, Andrew?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I feel like this is one of the few and rare times that we took a 2-week break in between episodes.
Yeah, the midweek holiday kind of screwed everything up.
Yeah, right? You have a good
Um,
fourth, though?
I did. We actually went to, well, obviously you know the area, so you know where UB is. We went to UB North for the fireworks, and it was a good time. We had a good time up there. We actually have a perfect spot where you're not in the crowd with all the people, so you can get in and off the campus very quickly, very easily. It certainly makes it a little bit more enjoyable when you know you have to get up and go to work the next day.
I uh I don't deal with that. I can actually see fireworks from my house at a golf course
Mm,
by me. So I sit out
nice.
in the front lawn and watch them, and yeah, I don't like traffic. So
I hate traffic. That's the worst part of it. But
well, you
midweek
should.
holidays are weird though. Like having a day off in the middle of the week, it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
because you can't really
Tuesday or
enjoy it because
Thursday
you
is
know
the
you've got to
best
go. Yeah,
because then like sometimes you can rationalize like, well, I'll just take that Friday off too.
right, exactly. But you couldn't
Wednesday
really
you
pull that
can't just
off on
take.
this.
Yeah. Well, you should know that Jennifer Kuhn missed us and she cried, but she was kidding when
Oh,
she said she cried,
uh,
which is good because I'd be concerned if you cried, Jen. We actually have a question from Jen in the group. Why don't we kick off with that one?
I picked that
Um,
one actually specifically because she asked it.
yep. So here is her question. She said that she's mulling over the potential of raising rent or not on
Hmm.
a current now month-to-month tenant because I believe Jen would she does a lot of short-term rentals, so it sounds like somebody stayed for a while and moved to month-to-month. She could
Hmm.
probably get $100 to $150 more a month, and he's a near perfect tenant, but the rental market here has always been pretty hot. So it's probably worth mentioning that it's a basement apartment, and she doesn't want to raise. She's not sure if she should raise it on him because he might move out, and not sure if that's okay. So kind of just going back and forth, like the pros and cons of raising rent on a really good tenant.
Hmm. It all boils down to dollars and cents on something like this for me. What is the cost that it's going to, what is it going to cost to turn that unit over, including the time that it's going to be vacant? Because obviously you're going to have some lapse in rental income there. So what's the cost to turn the unit over? How long is it going to sit vacant? And is all of that going to be eaten up by the offset of rent? So if I think she said she wanted to raise it like $150, something like that.
Mhm.
So if you sit and look at that over the course of a year, is the cost of turning over the unit going to be more than what you're going to gain from that rent bump? So you basically don't force the guy out or don't try to raise the rent if the cost is going to be more than what you're going to make back. It's basically just deciding whether or not you want to have that vacancy, want to do that turnover, sit on it for a month or however long it takes her to get a new tenant in there, versus the cost of how much additional rent are you going to be making. And it's not just what's the new rent; it's what's the difference between the old rent and the new rent. In this point, it'd be that $100, that $150. So you're talking 1,200 a month to 1,800 a month. Is it, or I'm sorry, a year in increase? Is it really worth it if it's going to cost you $2,000 to turn the unit, including the time that it sits vacant or something like that? So I
Mhm.
don't know what the original rent on her unit was, but that's something that could be eaten up very quickly if you have to let that thing sit for more than a few days.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think easy math. If it's $100, you're talking about $1,200 a year that
Right.
you'd be increasing. Let's say it's a $600 a month apartment, and let's
Hmm.
say you do end up having a month vacancy because you asked for more money. You're
Right.
essentially, it's going to take you 6 months of increased rent before you break even. So it'd actually be
Right.
month 7, right? Would be the break
Hmm.
even point on that.
Yeah.
So especially if it's a month-to-month rental and you think you might have trouble keeping tenants and this guy's going to maybe be around for a bit, because there's no guarantee that, that person doesn't leave in 6 months and then, or on the seventh month and you're break even. And then,
Right.
you have a month again. That's,
Yeah.
you have, so
Well, and the other part of it is, I don't know, I can't remember where Jennifer lives, but
she lives
sometimes
in
we have to
Bolt.
look at it from a seasonal perspective too. If you're going into right now, it's beautiful in Buffalo, it's sunny in summertime, but tomorrow it'll be 12 inches of snow and 12
Don't say
degrees.
that. Don't say
So,
that.
so that's something that we have to take into account too. Is harder to rent once you get into the colder seasons and things like that could increase your vacancy time and things like that. So there's a
So
lot of factors that go into that.
here's a question for you. Do you
Hmm.
consider what that margin is on the increased rent? So she said that it's $1,000 utilities all included, or
Hmm.
so here's my question. Let's say hypothetically the apartment is $100 and you're thinking
Okay.
about increasing it $100. So
Okay.
you're doubling the amount that it's going to cost versus
Hmm.
an apartment that's $1,000, it's going to go to 1,100. It's a 10% increase. Does that
Hmm.
matter at all to you, or is it just
Yeah,
$100 is
absolutely, it
$100?
does. Yeah, it definitely would matter, because at the end of the day, it's not just the $100 apartment; it's the $1,000 apartment sitting vacant for a month. So
Right.
if you're only going to get $1,200 a month extra, that extra $100, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
$1,200 a year extra on a $100 apartment, that apartment could sit vacant for 12 months
Yep.
before you've lost.
Yep.
On a $1,000 apartment, you have a month and a couple days.
Yeah.
So it definitely it factors in there.
Okay. That's a really good point. I appreciate that. All right, let's move to a silly question. I don't know if you saw this. I just kind of slid it in, Andrew. I thought it'd be fun.
Okay.
I posted this in the group actually about a half hour ago. So I was meeting up with my tenants last Saturday. I broke that cardinal rule of renting to your friends about 5 years ago, and it has
Hmm.
worked out splendidly, actually.
Hmm.
So sometimes it works out well.
Don't tell
So
people that though, because then they're going to get the wrong idea.
yeah, well, you know what I did is that I lived upstairs, they were down, or no, reverse. I lived downstairs, they were upstairs. I wanted really good people in the apartment. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted good people in the apartment, and
Right.
that's worked out really well. So they actually got engaged, and now have asked me to officiate their wedding.
That's
So
super exciting.
yeah, I'm honored by it. I'm excited for it, and I'm kind of wondering, should I slide in a joke about being their landlord into their wedding? Like maybe
Ooh.
right off the bat, just kind of just for those of you who don't know, I am actually their landlord, and thank you for paying my mortgage for the last 7 years.
That might be a bit much, but
Yeah.
well, it's funny you mentioned that because I'm also certified to do weddings. I've done several for friends and things like that over the years. And it's funny because a lot of times the people that I wind up doing weddings for, multiple instances it's happened to me where I've turned around and sold them a house.
Oh yeah,
So it's interesting to be involved in some of the biggest decisions in people's lives,
yeah, that is
on
kind of
multiple
crazy.
levels. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, if you think of any good one-liners, let me know. You can write them in the comments. I'll throw them up on screen. It's kind of an awkward place to make a joke, though, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
right. Maybe if it was a best
Right?
man speech.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, as the wedding officiant, that might be the end of being good friends. Be like, you wrecked my wedding. You ruined it.
It's
All right.
fine.
All right. So this one's a little bit longer. I kept the name out of it because there's a lot of specifics on this one. So, but we got a
Okay.
question and it says, I have a guy with a 4-year-old son whose background checks indicate 700 plus credit score, stable federal job with at least 3 times the salary versus rent for the last 8 years. Good references for the past 2 landlords, but has a Chapter 7 bankruptcy that was discharged in 2013.
Hmm.
He wants to rent with a lady. She has 15-year-old daughter. I don't think we even need to know, the age of the kids or that they have kids, but
Irrelevant.
um,
Yeah.
with a 700 plus credit score, and she's 2 times the salary versus rent, but she has a judgment from court for child support services. So it's kind of like 2 questions here, but I thought this question was interesting that you presented here because it just shows there's always so many variables when considering a tenant applicant and like how
Hmm.
many it's like there's so many different jigsaw pieces that fit together kind of thing. So what did
Right.
you think
Right.
about this one?
So, can you talk for just a quick second?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, your audio dropped out there. I just wanted to make
Okay,
sure I
good.
hadn't lost you.
Oh, I thought you had a serious
Um,
question. Like, can we talk for a quick second?
yeah. No. No. Nothing that serious.
Yeah.
Um, so on this one, I mean, the kids are irrelevant as long as they're not over the occupancy limits for the apartment, which I would have to assume that we're not.
Mhm.
His income sounds good. His credit sounds good for somebody who had a bankruptcy in 2013. So that's 5 years ish out.
Mhm.
To be back in the 700s, that's pretty good. I mean, that tells me that the guy did his bankruptcy, went through, and has been kind of working to correct whatever the ills were from the bankruptcy. He's got a 700 plus credit score. So he's
Mhm.
obviously not just jerking people around or whatever. Sounds like he's actually
Yep.
trying to do the right thing. Good landlord references is always nice. So, I mean, realistically speaking, the guy has the credit score, he has the income, he has the landlord reference. Those are the big 3 for me. So I don't necessarily have a problem with him. If the bankruptcy was a little bit more recent, or if the credit score was still really low, then that might be a question mark. But then having did you say it was a girlfriend?
I just said a lady.
A lady. Okay. So having her there as well, if they're going to be on the lease together at essentially a 5 times the rent income,
Yeah.
that's pretty strong. That's really strong, I would say. Her credit was also good. Her credit was in the 700s as well, and then she had the child support thing going on. So I mean, I guess it would make sense to ask what's going on with the child support if there's no, if she hasn't provided any real answer to that question. But I would I would probably take the chance on them. I might see if I could get like a double deposit or a first last in security or something like that, depending on what the laws are in the state that the person's in. Just see what their laws are regarding security deposits or prepaid rents or whatever. That'll help offset a little bit of the risk. But honestly, all things considered, these guys sound pretty low risk to me.
Yeah.
Even with the bankruptcy, even with the child support thing going on, they sound pretty low risk to me based off the limited info I have, knowing
Yeah.
that they have the income, knowing that they have good credit scores, knowing that they have good landlord references. They sound fairly low risk to me. If you
Now,
if you have concerns, I would just go the extra money via deposit or via prepaid rents.
do you have any concerns or trepidation when you have a situation like this? Let's say it's like a boyfriend, girlfriend, and she does so together they're 5x, but if they were to split, guy leaves, girl's there, and she's 2x and she can't cover the rent. I mean, what are
Hmm.
your thoughts when somebody asks you a question like that?
You know what? If you get to that point where he leaves the apartment, they're both going to be on the lease jointly and severally is on the lease, I would assume. So it's not like if he walks away, he's just off scot free. You still have him signed on that lease. So you can still pursue both of them in the event that she defaults on the rent or whatever the case may be. It's not like he gets to just walk away. So you
Okay.
do have some protection there as long as you can find the guy and proceed as usual. Um, I forget what group I was in. It was one of the Facebook groups. I had read somebody had used for unmarried roommates, they were using a little bit different income criteria. I wanted to say each roommate, it was a scenario, it was a 3 roommate scenario, and each roommate had to have at least 2 times the rent in income.
Hmm.
And the reason he did that is because he figured if one roommate disappears, I still have 4 times the rent in income to cover that rent.
Okay.
So I've seen people do things like that, which is actually kind of an interesting scenario. But usually, if it's like a married couple or something like that, we typically just look for that 3 times the rent scenario. So in this instance, I think that they would probably, I still think that they would be okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to a question from Barbara. We're covering up our faces a lot in these ones because we got some longer questions this week. So, Barbara said that she uses the rent prep application. Very cool. And she's screening for potential tenants. Recently, I had an applicant who was afraid to give me her social security number. She was a perfect fit for my apartment, but I gave it to someone else because I could not get her to turn in an application. Has anyone else had this problem? How can I send in info to screen them if I can't get a social security number?
Hmm. Hmm.
Oop,
Hang on a second.
that's fine. So I'm putting it up on screen. Applicant won't provide social security number. I think that this is probably something that's been happening more and more often, just due to issues with, I believe, his experience, credit breach, and people are a little bit nervous sharing their social security number. How do you handle this situation though if you have somebody who looks like a good applicant and won't provide their social security number?
I don't think I've ever had somebody say no to providing a social security number, to be honest with you. Um, I've had some people who prefer to give it to me verbally rather than put it on an application, especially if they're like scanning it and sending it across to unencrypted email or something like that.
Mhm.
I've had people do it that way, but I don't think I've ever had anybody just outright refuse to give me their social security number. Um, can you guys run a background without having a social?
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay.
There's 3 main identifiers. There's your name, date of birth, and social. So
Hmm.
basically, it's like anything. If you take one of the options out, it becomes a little bit weaker.
Right.
So the problem that it can happen is, if you're running to somebody and their name is John Smith, and then you can start seeing duplicates of John Smith with the same date of birth that also lives in the same area. So that's
Right.
where you can run into issues when you don't have the social security number. But yeah, if somebody runs like a basic pro or platinum report at Rent Prep, they just put all zeros in for social security number. It signifies to our screeners that they don't have the social security, and then we do our best to provide the best report we can without it. But you
Gotcha.
will get, the accuracy is going to be better if you have that social security number, because obviously we can kind of ping more databases and be able to pull that information correctly.
Right. It gives you just that much more data to work off of.
Yeah.
Um, if somebody wasn't willing to give me their social security number, it would certainly weigh heavily as to whether or not I would consider them as an applicant. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we go by the no blanks rule on our applications. And if you're not willing to give me your social security number, you're leaving one of the most important blanks empty. So I would have to seriously consider whether or not to even screen that applicant down. Like if I had other applicants that are fully supplied all their information and everything else, they would probably get first preference over somebody who's refusing to provide information from day one. The other thing to consider, and I don't know if that would be the case in this particular instance, is if they're already refusing to comply with your rules and regulations, and you're not even at the point where you've signed a lease with them yet, is it a situation that you really want to delve into? Is this going to become a recurring issue as the tenancy unfolds? So I can understand the reason people are protective with their social. I'm very protective over mine. I have said no to places when they've asked for my social security number, but not on anything that would be important, like a rental application or a loan application or something like that. That's one of those situations where you have to pretty much give it up if you want to move forward.
Yeah, and I think I commented on Barbara's post in the group, because I may have picked this up from you, Andrew, when you were saying before on a previous episode that having that social security number is nice if they end up skipping town or they have damages and you're trying to collect on that tenant after the fact, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more information you have when you go to submit something to a collections agency, try to chase some back rent or some damage money or whatever, the more information you have, the easier it is to attempt to recover that,
Yep.
to recover those funds. So,
Okay. Well, I think that just about does it for today's episode of Ask a Property Manager. And thank you, Andrew, for sourcing the group, the Rent Prep for Landlords Facebook group, for these questions. And yeah, it's good to see you after a 2-week break.
yeah, absolutely, man.
New car, I don't think I've seen
Yes,
this shirt before. It's a new Andrew.
it is a new Andrew. You may have seen this shirt before. I've had this one for a few weeks now. I've already got a pen mark on the front of it because I dropped a pen on myself this morning. So it's going to be a great day here in Buffalo.
All right, perfect. All right, everybody. Well, have a good week. If you have any questions, always ask them. The Rent Prep for Landlords Facebook group. Tons of helpful landlords and property managers just like Andrew in that group. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hey, Kim, thank you for saying thank you. We appreciate it. All right, we'll see you, Jen, too. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. All right, take care.